Welcome to Behind the Investigation. I'm Sierra Cummings. I'm joined now with one of my favorite people in the news building. We don't call you Harry Samler, which is your first and last name. We call you Better Call Harry. Thanks for joining us, Harry.
Please, go on, Sierra.
You've got a really important story for us today. It's about car insurance and what to be aware of. Set this story up for us. How'd you find it?
I will say, and I say this about a lot of my stories, but this really is like crazy what happened here, because the woman who contacted us went to a local car, not a dealership, more of a car lot, to buy a used car. So she finds the car that she's looking for, and she's doing the financing. And you have to have insurance in Georgia to drive off the lot. I mean, you got to have liability, otherwise they're not going to let you leave. So
as she's leaving,
as she's doing the paperwork, the salesman says to her, "Hey, do you have insurance?" And she's like, "No." And it was literally like one of these things where it's like, "Yeah, I got a guy." And it just went out of control from there.
All right, let's watch the story.
All of this was knocked off. It was hanging to the ground.
This is what you do when you find out your insurance company isn't what you thought.
One of my sons just taped it up so that it wouldn't drag.
Earlier this year, a dump truck slammed into Najwa Rucker's Nissan Altima. Even though it was the other driver's fault, Najwa filed a claim with her insurance company, All-Citi Insurance Group. Heads up, the state insurance commissioner's office says All-Citi, with an I, is one big fraud. How much money did they want up front?
$250.
How did Miss Rucker find these guys? Najwa says a car salesman at Atlanta Best Used Cars in Norcross made the recommendation.
And then he just started to say that I got a company that do insurance, that'll do you a full coverage for $250 if you're interested.
She says she gave the salesman her phone number and immediately received a text. We offer a full coverage rate policy with an initial rate of $250. Did you receive that text in front of him?
Yes, all this was still at the dealership.
Let's be clear. State investigators say the dealership itself is not involved. We don't know how the salesman got the name, but Najwa thought it was legitimate, even though this text was a huge red flag. We accept Apple Pay or Cash App. Come on. What legitimate insurance company wants you to Cash App your premiums to $Keisha Dem 44? Najwa paid her premiums, plus her $500 deductible for the crash, totaling $1,750. Where'd it go? According to investigators at the insurance commissioner's office, 33-year-old Deamarkis Barber from Conyers faces 8 counts of insurance fraud. They've been trying to catch him and an associate for 2 years. They allegedly stole $17,600 from 19 victims, and there could be more. You did what a lot of people wouldn't do. I mean, you did your research. You reached out to everyone. You contacted what, the GBI?
GBI, the FBI, the Better Business Bureau, the Consumer Protection
Division. Atlanta News first got someone's attention because 9 days after our visit to the dealership, the insurance commissioner issued Atlanta Best Used Cars a cease and desist. They can stay open, but they cannot refer any insurance company without first establishing that such agent or entity is licensed. An attorney for Atlanta Best Used Cars asked us to send copy of Najwa's cash payments. We don't know what they're going to do, but Najwa says getting the word out is a victory.
Every late nights that I was up just trying to find out any type of information that I can find, it's worth it. And if it's gonna save someone else from making the same mistake that I've made, it's definitely worth it.
This is one of those really frustrating stories, but I'm so glad she talked to you. She felt like she had to talk to you because she wanted to get the word out, right?
Yeah, and she did not think she was ever going to get her money back, and we really weren't sure what would happen. And when we aired the story, so this is why we talk about this behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't know what was going to happen. I had actually spoken with the dealership's attorney right before the story aired. And I was waiting for a response. He wanted information about what was going on. How much did he pay? How much did she pay? Send me the receipts. And I sent all of that to him, not knowing what would happen next. This was the follow-up story that we did the next week.
You made a difference on this one. You were persistent, you wouldn't stop, you wanted to get the message out, and now in the end, you've gotten your money back. That's gotta feel something, what?
Najwa Rucker's reaction was a bit subdued, even though she will receive a $1,750 refund for money lost to a fraudulent insurance company.
That's it?
That's it. That's it. This has been long and draining, and I just want it to be over.
We get it. She's exhausted. First she buys a car, and then it's smashed from behind by a dump truck.
One of my sons just taped it up so that it wouldn't drag.
Then she finds out the money she paid to insure the car went to a fraudulent insurance company called All-Citi Insurance Group. That's All-Citi with an I. Investigators with the insurance commissioner's office are still looking for the guy behind the alleged scheme. 33-year-old Deamarkis Barber from Conyers faces 8 counts of insurance fraud. He allegedly stole $17,600 from 19 victims, and there could be more.
To be clear, my clients are not affiliated with these fraudsters, and we're duped as well. We made no money off the sale of this insurance, and we're only trying to help our customer get her car on the road.
This is the statement from an attorney for Atlanta Best Used Cars in Norcross. State investigators say the dealership is not involved, but one of its salesmen did recommend the fraudulent insurance company. Following an Atlanta News First investigation, the dealership's owner decided to cover her loss. The lawyer goes on, nonetheless, as a gesture of goodwill, my client does not want this customer to have to bear the cost of this fraudulent insurance scam. Hold on, here it comes. The kind of excitement worthy of a celebration. Or not.
I think this is going to have to sink in a little bit because they're going to cut you a check for $1,750.
That'll be great. Mentally, I'm still just taking it in.
I'll take it in. I'm very excited.
Thanks.
That is a great ending, not because I did the story. I'm just saying she got her money back. But that's not the only thing. There was all kinds of other behind the scenes stuff going on, Sierra, because when she told us she needed to get her car fixed because the bumper was hanging off, I said, who are you taking it to? And she gives me the name of a shop. And I'm like, okay, before you take it there, I said, let's go and check with the Better Business Bureau. Let's look at the complaints. Because I always tell people, look at the complaints, not at the positive reviews, because there's so many phony positive reviews. Anyway, so we redirected her to a shop that was well known amongst the insurance industry. They've done good work before, connected her with them, and she's got her car back.
This is behind the investigation for a reason, because I remember that day vividly being in the office and you were making all these phone calls trying to make sure she doesn't make another mistake.
Yeah, she was ready. You know what? It was really kind of funny because I gave her the name of the repair shop to take the car to.
Yeah.
And she missed the entrance. She drove into the next entrance, which was another car
Almost
shop.
went to the wrong shop.
So she did go to the wrong shop, and then she called me and she had left the car there, and she's like, oh, I'll just let them do it. And I'm like, oh, wait, now hold on. I'm like, let's check these guys out. And they'd only been in business for like a year. They had not so good reviews. I said, please move your car next door. And she did.
It's giving you a little bit of a superhero in this circumstance. I feel like that's what you're getting at. You did a lot of saving in this particular project.
Well, after a while, you preach this stuff to consumers for so long, and you realize, you don't want them to make. It was a whole other story we could have done, but I'm glad it worked out, and I'm glad she got her money back, and now she can kind of move on.
Final takeaways here, though. Typically, if you're going to get reputable car insurance, you're not going to pay them through Cash App, Venmo, or even Zelle, right?
No. I mean, it's so funny. I actually called this phony insurance company and he answered, and he claims that it's to save the customer money. And it's like, no, it's money that's going into your pocket because you're being investigated by the insurance commissioner and you have 11 warrants out for your arrest. Use a company you know. I mean, go with the State Farms of the world, the Geico, just A-rated companies that you know if you file a claim, it may not always be perfect, but they resolve issues.
And final thoughts here. Several warrants out for this person's arrest. As of today, what's the status of the state's investigation?
When I talked to him, the guy claimed he was in Tampa with a new business,
Wow.
with a new name. And I'm like, wow, he's really giving me a lot of information here. And I told the insurance commissioner's office what was going on. So the warrant is still out for the arrest. And if there is an arrest, I'm sure we'll be doing a part 3.
Well, buyer beware. Thanks so much, Harry. Excellent work there, excellent story, and hopefully people pay attention to the takeaways. You've been watching and listening to Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates. Be sure to watch and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, Sierra.